Hello, pedestrians. I am here in my orchard, the upper part of my orchard, and I have 4 varieties of Pluerries. Some people have requested that I talk about the Pluerries a little bit, show you the differences between all 3 of them, and discuss not only the differences, but also what's going on with the Pluerry. So, in summary, a Pluerry is a cherry and a plum that are crossbred, and you get a Pluerry. There are plum cherry varieties, and then there are Pluerries. Pluerries come from Zaiger Genetics. To be able to create a Pluerry, they don't actually use genetics to be able to do it. They do it the natural way, which is taking the pollen and the stoma and putting them together, one from a cherry, one from a plum. And then they grow the fruit that is produced off of the pollination, and then they see what fruit they actually get. So they crossbreed different varieties of plums with different varieties of cherries to see what variety they can come up with, whichever is the best. So that's a quick little summary of what a Pluerry is. Now let's talk about the different Pluerry trees that I've got. All right, the tallest one is here in the middle. All of these were planted 3 years ago. The shortest one is right here. So tallest and most vigorous growing is the Sweet Treat Pluerry. And this is actually the very first year I have gotten any fruit off of this tree. Last year, not any. I was not able to eat any of the fruit. There was a couple of them that started to fruit out, but you can see here how many fruits are on this thing. So this being its third year in the ground, I think it makes it 4 years old. It's about 10 feet tall, and it grew really well, but it did not fruit until this year. So now there's just a ton of fruit on this, and I need to thin it out. This one, it ripens a little bit earlier compared to the others. The Sweet Treat Pluerry, I will give an update a little bit later on how it tastes. Now, up here, we've got some nice leaves that are going on here, but then this is just a cluster. And what this means is that aphids came in and got this. So because aphids climbed up here and got this, I could sit there and try to spray it off and do all that fun stuff, but I don't like doing that anymore. So I'm gonna come in here and just snap it off. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I don't want these. I'm gonna give this to the chickens. And yeah, there's a better way to do this if you just take it and cut it, but I don't want all of these aphids to be transferred to the rest of the tree. So toss it down to the chickens. There you go, girls. Oh, shiitake mushrooms. It didn't make it. I'll have to go get it later. All right, Sweet Treat. Leafs out really good. Nice grower. I don't know the rootstock variety that is on this, but I think it is a semi-dwarf. I also have some pest that comes through here and has been eating the green growth all along these limbs that are more horizontal. I'm thinking it's bunny rabbits that get up to do it. But anyways, here are some that have not really grown. And then I have a couple that are small, a couple that are larger. Hundreds, there's hundreds, if not thousands of fruit on this tree. It's crazy awesome. Look at how good that looks. So I'm really excited to be able to have fruit off of this tree. Finally, we had 30-mile-an-hour winds last night, knocked down a lot of the fruit off of the trees, but I digress. I'm gonna move on to the next tree. This is the Candy Heart Pluerry. This one's my favorite. It is very late ripening, but it has this nice little tip at the bottom of the fruit. It looks like a heart. It's nice and dark in color. When you cut it open, it is almost blood red on the inside, kind of like an elephant heart. So I think they took an elephant heart and crossed it with some type of cherry. I'd have to do some research to figure out what breeding they did. But in terms of fruit, this is the largest of all the fruit varieties, and it is the latest in terms of ripening. But you can see here, this is all little new growth because some rodent has come in here and eaten it. Hasn't eaten the top of the stuff, but eats this, right? Look at that. But I think it's because There's a ledge right there. So I'm pretty sure it's bunny rabbits that are coming over here and eating this. Hopefully it doesn't stunt its growth, but it's a nice grower, nice and vigorous, and it does produce fruit. Last year with the heat wave that we got, it lost a lot of its fruit. I wasn't able to have any, but the year before I had a good amount of fruit. There was about 10 that I had, but that was its first year in the ground. So here I have, I don't know, maybe 100 pieces of fruit on here, and they get relatively larger than a ping pong ball or a golf ball. Anyways, so that's the candy heart. And if we go over here, this is the flavor punch. Flavor punch has produced fruit in the past. This is definitely a dwarfing variety. I tend to not worry about, I used to really worry about aphids, and now I just kind of let them do their thing. There's another insect that I purchased and incorporated last year out here, and they have maintained the aphid population. Aphides, I think is the name of the insect. But here again, more leaves that are eaten off, and then when you get up towards the top, they're just growing gangbuster. So good amount of fruit. Look at that. More fruit. This one is an early variety. I don't like that it's on a dwarfing rootstock. I also don't know, and I will do some research, I don't know if I need to thin the fruit on here. So I think I actually might come out and thin the fruit out. I know with cherry trees you don't necessarily have to, so, and plums not necessarily, but maybe it's good. So I think I might come out here and thin out some fruit just to see if I can get some nice, large, good quality Pluerries, because dude, I love this fruit. This one is the Sugar Twist Pluerry. It's supposed to be a really, really good variety. And I planted this last year in the ground. And look at the size of some of these fruit already. I mean, it's the size of a ping pong ball. Some of them are a little bit smaller. I did come in and I thinned out this one because I want it to grow more than put all of its energy into the fruit. But I'm creating an espalier with this variety because I have a shallow space here. So it only comes out a couple of feet, and then it's going to grow taller, and I'm going to have it come across. I'm not going to have cordons and connect them to the cordons. I'm just going to allow it to naturally grow as an espalier type format. The Sugar Twist, because this is the first year that it is fruiting, I don't know very much about it. I've heard good things about it. It seems to be a good fruiting. It looks more like a plum tree, like the tree type looks more plum-like a satsuma plum. Some of the sweet treat looks more like a cherry tree, in my opinion. That's it for the 4 varieties. So I have the candy heart, nice and growing. I have the sweet treat, nice and large, first year for fruit, but there's a ton of it. This is the flavor punch, which is supposed to be a good one, but it's the smallest one. It's about 6 feet tall. And then this one is the Sugar Twist. They all seem to be growing pretty similar. They all seem to fruit relatively well. So far, my favorite is the candy heart. And that's just because of crunch and taste. It does have a crunch to it. Oh, it's so good, tastes so good. But the sweet treat, I think, is a similar variety that you can get at the grocery store. And I really like those when they're ripe. When they're not ripe, they're just kind of bland. But so candy heart, yes, let's go. It's May 10th. I thought I'd give an update on the Pluerries because some of these are ripening, and I think it's important to be able to see the transition of this fruit. So this is the Sugar Twist Pluerry. It is its 2nd year in the ground, and here we have a good amount of fruit that's growing on it. And here we have some coloring changes. A bird got to it, but these are about the size of a ping pong ball. They should be ripe here in the next week or 2. So I'm gonna start to cover these with the organzo bags so that they don't get eaten by the squirrels and birds. But I have about 50 fruit on this one, which is good. I mean, it's a good size fruit and it's growing really well. And yeah, so that's it for the Sugar Twist. Sugar Twist seems like a really good variety. This is the Candy Heart Pluerry. It has some good growth on it. It has still a lot of fruit. Look at that, very green. And this fruit is supposed to ripen in August. So still a couple months away. This is the Sweet Treat Pluerry. You can see the fruit is actually starting to ripen. I think they are a couple weeks away, but they're very small. They're like the size of a cherry almost. More on the cherry side, less on the plum side, but they grow in these clusters, kind of like cherries do. So a little bit more cherry versus plum. And then on this last one over here, this is the Flavor Punch. The Flavor Punch is supposed to ripen in between the Candy Heart and the Sweet Treat. And I don't get a lot of fruit on this variety, and I actually haven't even had a ripe fruit on this, but this is its third year in the ground for all of these that are on the top of the hill. I do have fruit on all of them, which is great. Flavor Punch has the least amount of fruit on it, but the size of the fruit is pretty good. The Sweet Treat has a lot of fruit on it. This is the first year that it's actually fruited, and lots of fruit, more like a cherry variety, and also the ripening time is a little bit earlier. The Sugar Twist, well, it is the youngest, but it does have the least amount of fruit, but it's a really good sized fruit, more of a plum size, kind of like the Dapple Dandy size. First one to ripen is going to be the Sugar Twist, and then the last one to ripen is the Candy Heart, and I love the Candy Heart. It is such a good fruit. That's a neat looking shape, but should be able to get fruit here in June, July, well, end of June, July, August, September. So that's the ripening times, at least in our zone of 8B. Hope that update is beneficial. Really good trees, really good fruit. I'd highly recommend planting some Pluerries. But hopefully the variety shows the difference between how they fruit, how they grow. They do look a little rough because we're hitting temperatures of 100 degrees this week and last week. So I've had to up the watering, but highly recommend getting Pluerries.